Revitalise Meets, the business-focused podcast on the YouTube channel for Revitalise Networking and also live on LinkedIn right now. I'm your host, Lee Foster from Revitalise Connecting People and the Revitalise Business Club. And as always, I get the great pleasure to be welcoming along many new connections and great connections from the local and global business networking environment. And as always, the guests that I bring along is a great chance to really delve in further to find out more about them, their business, what makes them tick, and also how we can help each other with the world of networking, but also learning a bit more about their business as we go on. Now, I've got the great pleasure to be welcoming along a guest with me today, a gentleman who's been helping many people embracing marketing, campaigning, direct messaging through the wonderful virtual network that is LinkedIn. He is nicknamed the LinkedIn Guy. Can you please welcome with me today the one, the only, the myth, the man, and the legend that is Rob Hemsley of the LinkedIn Guy. How are you doing, Rob?
Oh, good, Lee. Thanks. Good. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I really appreciate that. And I know that we share our sort of views on LinkedIn as a platform and how to utilize it. So, yeah, great to be joining you.
No, it's a pleasure to welcome you along for this today as well, Rob, and really sharing a bit about you and your background as well. So let's start off first of all, the ball in motion as always with this business-focused podcast that is Revitalise Meets. What's been the business journey for you so far, and where are you at the minute? Just give us a bit of a background and tell us a bit about your story and tell us where you are at the present.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate that. It started out 2016. I'm from a sort of recruitment industry background over many years, and every role I've ever done was business development, so cold business development. So started out knocking doors many years ago, selling products and services, and then moved into the world of consultative recruitment in various fields: IT, technology, engineering, aerospace, defence, commercial insurance, legal, and so on and so forth. And the reason I started the business was to leave the rat race, really, and to move away from what I felt were, shall we say, poor leaders. You know, I had some really good leaders, but I had a lot of leaders who were questionable, let's say that. And businesses that were going in the wrong direction, I felt. So I wanted to start out on my own. So business development for me was easy in the first instance, because that's what I've been doing for 20 years. So going out and developing a new business for myself was the easy bit. The hard bit was in the beginning generating revenue, because I was doing it in a commission only type basis. So it was very sort of high risk. Anyway, cut a long story short, more recently, I realized that over the past 8 years, everything I've been doing from a business development perspective, most of it anyway, the majority of it had been done through LinkedIn. So I utilized direct messaging, personalized, focused, targeted direct messaging as a business development tool. And I realized that I was doing that constantly. I was doing it every day. So I was basically living on the platform. And 85-90+% of business came through that method. So the original connection had come from there, the original coffee chat, virtual chat, and so on had come through that method. So then I created, so in 2023, somebody offered a solution for me where it was a little bit outsourced, some of the legwork of the messaging side. And I thought, I can take this myself and make this better and do this for other people. So that's where this sort of LinkedIn Guy scenario came from, of utilizing the platform for business development via the direct messaging approach. So it's business development rather than marketing in a way. It's very specific. And that's where I'm at now. So that's what I do now for different companies is actually operate as them, as their business development person, but utilizing LinkedIn to do that, you know, through the direct messaging. Yeah.
It's interesting though, because we've spoken a lot about LinkedIn and we've talked a lot about being a virtual network, but also the power of isolating the people you want to speak to and getting the message into the right people, I think is so important. Over that time of finding your way, and we've all met leaders along the time as well, and trying to find your path. The question I always ask everybody on this sort of show is, what's been your biggest challenge over the past 6 months? So like the beginning of this year to now, what's been your biggest challenge, and how have you overcome that challenge to turn into potentially an achievement for you?
Absolutely. It's a really good question, that. Over the past 2 years, virtually 3 years, in fact, I had a passive income stream, which was excellent. It was really, really good. And I was very lucky to achieve it, but I achieved it through my work in the legal sector. And I achieved this sort of 2-3 years ago, and I got a little bit comfortable with it. I got a little bit sort of not complacent, but it became so regular that I didn't actually have to do anything monthly, and I'd achieve this revenue and think, well, this is amazing. So I was doing other things around that, but it became a staple. And I think the difficulty with that was that when that ended in March 2024, which I knew was going to happen in March, April 2024, I didn't have a backup. I didn't have a real sort of replacement for it. And so I thought to myself, well, I've got two options here. One is to try to replace it, which I had been doing, but it was quite a difficult process to actually replace it. And I was highly unlikely to replace it like for like. So I pivoted, really, like many businesses do. And I thought, well, in 2022, end of 2022, start of 23, I was doing business development for small businesses, hiring myself out as a consultant, day rate, and that kind of thing. And I kind of went back to that model for the regular income type model and focused on LinkedIn as a business development tool. So I pivoted into that, and now I'm growing that side 100% versus what I was doing before with the passive. So it's been a switch and a change. So I've turned it into something positive. Yeah. At the time, it was something negative because it basically meant that the bulk of the income had gone. And then you're thinking, well, where am I going to get the income from? So it was at a good point, but it was only going one way, which was over 6 or 12 months. The money was only going to go one way unless I generated revenue. So pivoted, like many businesses do, and like many small businesses do. Pivoted, different angle, different process, different structure, and drive that forward, make a success of it, and just change things. Yeah. So,
do you know what's really interesting there? Sorry, Rob. What's really interesting, though, is the way that a lot of business owners go down the path of trying to adapt to their environments, but sometimes don't think, right, okay, I have to hit a reset button and switch it around altogether. Sometimes they don't reflect it. They just keep pushing forward until it doesn't give any more. And then it breaks. Yeah. Whereas what you did, you put the brakes on, reflect upon it, thinking, okay, that's stopping for me now. I need to reset it completely. And it's that pivot word and thing, right? Okay, I need to do something that's a little bit of a different angle here with it as well. And I think that is brave to do that. Yeah. But sometimes you've got to do it at the same time as well. Thanks for sharing that. It's an interesting part. We met through LinkedIn.
Yep.
And we started messaging through LinkedIn itself. And the question I always ask everybody who comes along to these shows, another part of it, is the hybrid virtual world that we live in right now. That must play a major part in your business because I guess a majority of your business is off the virtual network. So are you embracing more online compared to in person? Do you feel it's more online with you?
Absolutely, yeah, it is. And it all started after or around COVID because I was doing a little bit of online networking, but more face-to-face. And then I was actually at the time, I think I was a member of the FSB infrastructure nationally, and they did a clever thing at the time, which was to say, we're putting all our events online and they're all free. So then you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I can network, every day, and I can be in different parts of the country and I don't have to leave home. So that was 2020, 4 years. Still, I embrace online. I embrace the online networking. I think it's fantastic. I think it is the way forward. Yes, face-to-face is great, and I really do enjoy that. But the majority of it is online for me. And because I'm utilizing LinkedIn and working through that channel, through that platform, it's all online. It's all virtual anyway. But a virtual network is if I was to go to physical events, I wouldn't have the size of network I have through LinkedIn, because it's, I can grow my network every day virtually. I don't have to be in a room to do that. And I've been doing that for the past 10, 15 years. So, for me, online is absolutely, I embrace it completely. Yeah. And I encourage others to do the same. Yeah.
I think online has a place in it. It's part now of any business, and especially any role. And I think if we discount that or ignore it, I think it hinders the business. It should actually embrace it and enhance your business offering when you're working in an online tool. And for me, and there's many people might not think this, but it plays a part in everything that we do now, because especially the likes of, I think LinkedIn is the most untapped network platform that doesn't get used to its full potential. Would you agree with that?
I agreed. 100% agree. Yeah.
Because I think there's so many people out there that use it, but they're not used as a networking platform, as a virtual network.
Yeah. And it's amazing because they've got, I know people who've got literally hundreds of people that they've connected with. So they're in their network. Now, if you're in a room, a physical room, and you say, let's talk, let's have a coffee, let's meet, that's fine. Let's exchange business cards. They're technically in your network. But online with LinkedIn, for example, they're in your network and they've got hundreds and hundreds of people that they've never, ever shared a single message with online through LinkedIn. And you're thinking, well, they're in your network. They are your network. So you've got every right to message them, even just to say hello. And nobody's doing it. Everyone's just connecting and doing nothing with it. And to me, that's just like, I don't understand that. That does not compute for me at all. I don't get it, So it's about being proactive. Be proactive, not be reactive, and be consistent. And when you do that, then your network grows and you engage with your network, you nurture your network, and that's what you would do if you were doing it physically. So why wouldn't you do it virtually?
Yeah, correct.
So yeah,
correct. And I think it's also interesting when you look at, if we look at LinkedIn for a second here, Tom, and just isolate this, is that when you go to the contact information or the profile information, some people put their mobile number on it, they put their contact number on it. Some people don't put anything on there at all. And you go, well, this is your platform. This is your shop window for someone to get in touch with you. That's the way I look at it. So you should have all the communication tools that you've got that you want to share for people to engage with you, to have conversations.
Yeah.
But also it's a way of, I use LinkedIn for virtual introductions and chats through that way, and sharing information, communicating to one another quite regularly, wishing anniversaries, birthdays, this and the other through there as well. I think it's always great as touch points all the way through. I think it has its place. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. It completely does have its place. And it's it is yeah, you're right. It's an untapped platform. We can't always be 100% in communication with everyone all the time. And I'm not saying that. We're just saying consider it as your network. You've built your network over 10 years, for example. You've got 5,000 people in your network, but you're actually only messaging just a 10 people a week. If that, you're not even doing that. And most people aren't even doing that. And it's like, well, you've got this big network, massive network, and I've always said as well, you don't know who knows who and who's in other people's networks. So if you've got 100 people or 5,000 people, it doesn't actually matter who's in their networks and who knows who in their networks. It's massive, and it's your entire audience. So 100%. Yeah, bizarre.
100%. Moving swiftly on to the next one, actually, it lines in really nicely to my next sort of question as part of this is, what are your top tips? I always ask every one of my guests, what's their golden top 3 tips from their industry or their business? But I guess from you, Rob, it'll be your top 3 tips for LinkedIn. Would you mind sharing that with people?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. My top tips would be, think of LinkedIn as a business development tool, platform. So every single thing that I do on LinkedIn is related to business development. So it's not done for just to be friendly, social, and so on. It is part of that. But the reason for communicating with someone, the reason for messaging someone, the reason for engaging with someone is the business development. That's the point. So it's not to be salesy and it's not to be wishy-washy. It's for purpose. It's done specifically for purpose. So my tip would be think of it as a business development platform and utilize it for business development purposes. Think about how you do that, but that's my number one. Number two is, even if you don't have much time and you're busy, do something each week, each day if you can, even if it's 2 new connect requests a day, or it's that's 10 a week, that's 40 a month, and so on. Just give yourself small targets. It'll take you 20 seconds. Message 5 of your existing connections a day, or whatever. Do something, but be consistent. Just be consistent and be proactive. That's the point. Don't just sit back and be an observer like many people are. You've got a profile for a reason. You're on there for a reason. Get involved. That's my 2 sort of keywords. Get involved. Be involved. Get involved. And then I suppose number 3 would be, if people send you a connect request and you're not sure whether to accept it, or some people have this thing about accepting anonymous connect requests, basic LinkedIn account will only allow you to send 5 personalized connect requests a month, which is very restrictive. Obviously, they want you to pay for the service. Understandable. So if you're sending anonymous connect requests out, then others are doing the same to you. And that's because it's the only way really to do it at that level. So when you get an anonymous connect request, don't ignore it. Have a look at it. Take 20 seconds, have a look at it, reverse it, flip it, and think, could this person be useful for me and my business? So think of it in a business development mentality. And if the answer to that is possibly, because you don't know who's in their network, you don't know who they know, and they might have your golden goose connection in their network, and they might know them. You just don't know that. So think of it with an open mind as a business development tool. If the answer is yes, they might be able to help me one day, click accept. And if you think absolutely 100% no, it's going to be a waste of time, click ignore. But think of it as a business development angle, if you like.
Yeah.
Love so those would be my initial tips.
I love that. Actually, I really like that. If everyone's watching and listening, if you're watching on LinkedIn, by the way, because we are live on LinkedIn, please feel free to add a comment on there if you feel okay to do so. Also, as well, if you're listening to us on the YouTube channel, please put a message on there. And I've just dropped the comments actually into the channel as well. So if you go to either the YouTube channel or on the actual LinkedIn, you'll see the comments in there as well. And I've just literally put them on there. So Rob's actual, I'm just going to put the overlay on there as well. So it's actually on the main screen. You can see the information in the high chat overlay. It's on there for the YouTube. But Rob's top 3 tips. 1, think of LinkedIn as a business development tool, 100%. Number 2, be active on LinkedIn regularly and consistent, message and post on there quite regularly on there. Number 3, it's always about being visible, out of sight, out of mind completely, but be visible on it. And I love the 3rd one, view the connection request and view it as a business development opportunity. It's a business development opportunity for you. You never know who they know to actually introduce you to. You never know who they know. They might have mutual connections, or they might have connections that you're looking for your business as well. And I think that's really important there, Rob. Thanks very much for sharing that with us. We forget about the chat area as well and what we've got available. So great top tips there. Thank you very much. And don't forget, if you are listening and watching on YouTube on the Revitalise networking channel, please put a comment on. If you are listening on LinkedIn, you just joined us now, drop a comment on the LinkedIn there as well. And if you've got a question for Rob and myself, we'll answer it as best that we can for you, 100%. We talk about this quite regularly, Rob, and I always ask my guests this question. We're quite busy in our business lives, but one of the big things, how do you take time out to work on personal development for you? Do you have books that you're reading at the minute? How do you get better at what you're doing in your business? Or how do you even take time out for yourself?
That's a good question. Again, because as a solopreneur business, doing it, working for myself and then taking on more clients, you get busier and busier and busier, don't you? So I always advocate and promote working smarter, not harder. And I'm always saying it to everyone: work smarter, not harder, work smart, not hard, and so on and so forth. And then you have to try and do it yourself. so you have to try and practice what you preach.
Yeah.
So what I do is, before, when I had that sort of passive income stream element, I was free to do whatever I liked because I knew the money was coming and it was kind of easy, you know. But then when you take on a more manual task and you take on clients where it's more hands-on, obviously your time is taken up more. So what I do is to give myself time to try and work smarter, I do embrace an element of automation in terms of software. I also embrace AI to an extent as well, with regard to word crunching and coming up with smart messages and coming up with better ways to say things, if you like. I'm always playing with language and always playing with style of language and so on. So that's one thing that I do to sort of, if you like, evolve my communication styles and also understanding the markets and the best things to do and say and how to work. So that's a sort of a personal development, professional development entity, I suppose. In terms of my own time, I try to take a bit of time out. Sometimes I try and get ahead of myself and save enough for a game of golf, for example, on the odd Friday. Not every week at all. If it was, I'd be a lot better. Yeah, just on the odd occasion, particularly in the milder months of the year. What else? That's the main stuff. Go for a walk in the evening, pretty much every evening. A walk locally, relaxing walk. Talk through stuff. Put the world to rights, with my wife Liz, stuff like that. So, but that's the main stuff, really. To be honest, I don't do a lot else. I've only read one business book, really, which was fantastic. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I did love that. I was a business connection through LinkedIn that actually recommended that. But that was brilliant. But I don't really read a lot of other stuff. So, yeah, I just kind of, I try and evolve always. I'm always trying to evolve and always learn. Never sit still. I never, ever, ever stay still and stay in one position, if you like, always evolving.
I think it's always adapting to your environments and always evolving and improve and trying to get yourself better and more effective at what you're doing. I think that's such an important part that we try and work on. And I think it's right when you say you've got the outdoor activities and connecting with nature, etc., and getting out there and getting the fresh air in your lungs, it gives you time to think. Yeah. It gives you a chance to decompress away from it and just put your thoughts in place and just go, right, that's where I am. We talked about it earlier, just recenters yourself and resets it slightly. That's in there. I think it's really important to do that. Thank you for answering that for us, Rob. But if we could fast forward now to the beginning of January 2025, so literally 6 months or 5 months, God, scary looking at that, looking at January 2025, what's next for you and what's the next biggest challenge, or where do you see your business in 2025?
Yep. In terms of the business, the primary goal is to evolve and increase the client base for the LinkedIn business development piece. Bring on more clients that are perhaps corporate clients, and bring on clients that have got complex challenges that are interesting and interesting to crack, if you like. So just slightly, not so much complex clients, but I've got an example where I'm working with teams at the moment, and the teams are in different countries, and there's different events going on, and it's quite interesting, quite intricate, and quite complex, and it's really good. So a bit more of that would be good, I think. More of the same, and evolving to a level where the client base is good, the client base is solid, the client base is strong. That would be sort of January 2025, purely focusing on the LinkedIn business development piece through the direct messaging. And yeah, I think that's the main focus, really, the main goal, that sort of consistent level of really good clients and good relationships and good work. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think it's always best to have a track that you're looking to try and head along and set up your right objectives and goals that you want to achieve. Many
Yeah.
people think you just need to set them up at the beginning of the year, but I believe, and I think you agree with this, is that you've got to be looking at your goals regularly, consistently, and especially we're in the middle of the year now, is actually resetting yourself up for the last part of the year and getting ready to hit the ground running from the beginning of the next year when it swings around as business owners.
Exactly.
Who's a good business introduction for you? So if someone's watching and listening right now, I always like to ask all my guests this, right? Is that who would you like to be introduced to? Who's the perfect, typical avatar client customer that you would like to be introduced to in the next 4 weeks? Who would it be? The game changer.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm focusing quite a lot on event and conference management businesses. So, for example, NEC, Birmingham, Manchester Central, Glasgow, London, the events and conference companies and companies that are actually sort of steering those, running those, project managing those. They're really interesting from my point of view at the moment. So I'm really looking out. I'm doing some direct outreach to companies of that nature. Quite tricky sometimes to find the right person. But I'm looking into that at the moment. That's really interesting area for me at the moment. So anyone that's into event management, event hosting of a certain level, so it's where they need decent numbers to get in either virtual events or physical events. They might have ticket sales and so on to achieve. Driving the numbers. I'm utilizing LinkedIn for this kind of process, and it's very interesting at the moment. So yeah, event conference management, the people that are involved around that, and the actual companies that are delivering that, they're interesting for me right now.
I'm actually just going to drop that. So everyone's watching again on this. I'm going to drop it in the YouTube channel. So it's just literally dropped in there. So delivery and organizing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to drop that in there. Organizers. Right, that's in there for us. It's shared in the group, in the chat now in YouTube for you. So Rob's business introduction is event and conference companies, event hosting and management, virtual and in person, and also delivery and organizers of those events as well. So if you think of anybody, please reach out to Rob. And how can they get in contact with you, Rob? Is that just via LinkedIn, of course?
LinkedIn is the big one. They can also email me as well at rob@hemsley.ltd.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, of course. Yeah, they can reach out on there. I'll happily connect and always open to a virtual coffee and so on if people are distance, and meet them locally if they're local. No problem at all. Yeah.
And you're based where? Sorry, again, just
based in Cheshire. So we're southeast Cheshire, Crewe, Sandbach, Northwich, this kind of area. We're in a little place called Middlewich, and 45 minutes from Manchester, Liverpool, about an hour from Birmingham. So good spot.
Brilliant. And if the weather's fair, you can have a game of golf with Rob as well.
Yes. Yes. Always up for that. Whenever I get a chance, I'm always up for that.
Always weather's fair with that one. Rob, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, likewise. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and great questions, and thanks for the discussion. Yeah, it's as I say, I think we've got a lot in common in terms of our view on certainly LinkedIn. Anyway,
we could go on for hours, everybody.
Yeah.
We could go on for hours, but there'll be more to come as well. And if you are available, I'm going to put a selfish plug in here as well. Rob's very kindly agreed to be my signature speaker for my online Revitalise Business Club, Global Business Club, which is on the 25th of September. Rob is going to be my signature speaker, sharing his 20 minutes of knowledge all around direct messaging campaign, business development, looking at LinkedIn as a business development tool, etc., with everybody on the online audience. So if you want to find out more about that, go to revitalise-connect.com and click on the events tab. I'll give you all the information on there for you as well. And you get to hear from Rob once again after this podcast interview. He'll be as a signature speaker for us at the end of this month as well. So another opportunity, another bite of the cherry to hear from Rob as well. For everybody who's been watching and listening, do not forget to click the bell and subscribe to the Revitalise Network and YouTube channel. and share the messages with many people. Not just Rob, but we now have over 150 interviews on there with various different business owners and connections from across the globe and locally. And you can also check us out on the Revitalise Network and LinkedIn page as well, where everything's hosted on there as well. Also, this is the last one of the series for the first segment of Revitalise Meets this year. We're going to take a bit of a break now for the next few weeks, just for holidays, etc. We have to take time out, of course. And we'll be starting back again with Revitalise Meets in October. And that'll be on October 1st, when we'll be welcoming along Mohan Sharma to talk about his journey from banking to going into mortgages and to be a mortgage advisor and broker as well. So about his business journey and more on the 1st of October. When we start all again. I've got some great guests lined up from October 1st onwards for the tail end of this year as well. Thanks again for watching, listening, and joining us today. And for me and Rob, have a phenomenal week. And remember, as always, keep connecting, everybody. Take care. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye for now.